Fernando Ruiz art.
Hi everybody, and we are looking at a Cyborg sketch card. So this is one of the same types of sketch cards I've shown you before. You can see it's about three and a half inches tall by about 2.5 inches wide. So they're very big, but they're very popular at conventions, and they offer people an affordable way of buying an original piece of art. So I tend to do a lot of these. Now this one is Cyborg, and Cyborg is already underway. This Cyborg, of course, from DC Comics, is from the new Teen Titans. I guess he was in the Justice League movie, and they use him a lot. And I know they've redesigned him some. The way I've drawn him is in his original look, as he was originally designed by the great George Perez, which is probably my favorite design for Cyborg. So there he is. So as I said, he has been underway. So I've penciled Cyborg, I've inked him, and I've also gone into his background and colored all the negative space with my chart pack marker, Purple Sage. And I've talked about the chart pack markers before, how they tend to bleed, and a lot of people don't like them because they do bleed. But it's that bleeding that I really makes me like them, because the bleeding helps minimize some of the streakiness that markers often get. And I added the Purple Sage to this card. It's been about a week or so, so it's had plenty of time to dry. And hopefully you could see on film, on camera, you could see how smooth and even the purple is. So that takes care of the background. He's inked. The ink is certainly dry, and I've already picked up all the pencil lines that there is to pick up. So all that's left is to color Cyborg himself. Now this also gives us the opportunity to add color to an African American character, which I get asked for often. I've done a lot of Caucasian skin tone demos, and you could see them in my catalog of videos. Recently I did Storm, but I still get asked to do some more varied skin toned characters. So we're going to do Cyborg today. And really, there really isn't that much of a difference between applying the skin tones to a Caucasian character and non-Caucasian character. The only thing you're really changing is the darkness of the colors that you're using. You're just going a little further darker on the spectrum. So here, rather than using some of the lighter flesh tones, what I'm going with is and this is my Copic marker. This is E15 dark suntan, and just as I would do with a regular Caucasian skin tone, I'm just identifying the darkest darks, where the darks would be coming from. And really, I say this often, identify your darkest darks. Part of what helps to do that is really identify where the light is coming from. Where's the light source? And that's true with any piece of art that you're doing. Where's your light coming from? And I'm picturing, in this case, the light is coming from above and maybe coming down from our left, his right. So I'm gonna do that with the dark suntan, and I'm gonna go for some light suntan, and I'm gonna help pull out some of that dark tone that I just laid down. So my dark suntan that I just laid down before this one that kind of acts as my middle tone. And this will act as my lighter tone. Now I've got another color that I'm going to pull out in a second, and that'll act as my dark tone. So I'm going in, and this one is kind of sewing together some of the tone that I just put down. Now I want to go to something a little darker, so I'm going to go to my E18, and this is Copper. And Copper is pretty dark, and I'm going to go and push some of the darker darks, maybe go into his eye. He's going to have very brown eyes. Okay, and I'm going to go in maybe underneath the nose, the philtrum, underneath the lower lip. So even as with the lighter skin tones, and this is true of really anything you try to do with Copics, you can do more the more colors you have. Now this is Sepia. This is E37. And this has a little bit of warmth to it. Okay, this is a darker tone, but it's got a little bit of warmth. So it's going to heat up a few little areas here and there. So again, I'm going to where I think it's dark. And I'm just adding little dabs of color. And now that I've done that, I'm going to go back to my light suntan. And I'm going to pull out all that color that I just laid down. Go in with his upper lip. Leave the lower lip a little lighter. Leave a little bit of a highlight. Always leave that highlight. Good on his ear. I also notice I like to bounce around the whole head a lot. And that just helps me keep on tab of how everything is working together. I'm not just like starting at the top of his head and working my way down. I'm bouncing around. I'm hitting this little area and that little area. And I'm gonna go, this is a sand color. It's a little light, but it's also a little warm. So it can hit a few areas. And you can see Cyborg, his skin at least is really coming together. Now, the other reason Cyborg is a good character is that he gives us the opportunity to fool around with metal a little bit. And actually, before I do that, I'm going to go to E29, and this is Burnt Umber. And the Burnt Umber is going to let me fill in. Really, I'm doing the highlights on Cyborg's hair. So it keeps his hair dark without making it an absolute black. And actually, I'm going to use that dark umber that I just used to add a little bit more to his eyes. Okay. Now, Cyborg has silvery metallic parts to him. That's going to be fun. So what I've got here is my cool gray number 3. And I'm going to move all around. And I don't want to just like make Cyborg a flat gray, because he's not this flat gunmetal gray. He's mostly like a silver. At least he used to be. I'm not sure what they do with him anymore. I think he's around the same coloring. And okay, now a Cyborg, he also, at least this version of Cyborg, his chest was exposed, so I'm gonna want to do that too. And I'm going in again. This is my dark suntan, and I'll go back in with the light suntan and pick that up, and again I'll leave a bit of a highlight on his chest as well, And I might even touch that up a little bit too with a darker tone. Okay, I'm gonna go, this is my lightest white, my lightest gray rather, and this is my C01. And this is gonna be to the metal portions of Cyborg what the light suntan was to the fleshy portions of Cyborg. So this is gonna kind of bind the different grays on Cyborg without totally flattening him out. And even here, I'm also leaving areas of white. Okay, especially on the metal, because I want that to really show up. I'm going to go to my C5, my cool gray number 5. And I want to add a few little dark touches, which will make his metal seem all the more reflective underneath the jaw. And it's metal, so metal's just going to be reflecting whatever's around it. So you don't have to be too precise when you're doing this part of it. Underneath the brow, yeah, some parts are going to be just in natural darkness, but other parts are just going to be reflecting what's around him. So you don't have to be too, you could make up some of this as you go, just kind of instinctually swirl around Cyborg. Now I want to add, this is my lightest blue, my B00, and I'm adding some of this to cool down Cyborg, first of all, to make his metal parts really seem like nice, cool metal, but also to make it also seem a little reflective. So I'm coming down, again, if the light was coming from above and from his right, what I'm doing here is just suggesting or applying the idea of reflected light coming down his left side, our right. I'm almost done. Just going to take my cadmium red, and I want to add a little of that to his eye, and he always had that red thing up here. And even there, I'm going to leave a little white. And I just came down almost in the form of stripes to his eye, just to give it kind of, he always had like a striated pattern in his eye. It's a detail I remember. So I want to kind of like a lens effect, I guess. This is dark red, by the way, and I'm just going to do that as a little bit of an accent here and here. Just touch each of those. And I think Cyborg is about done. I think that's about it. I'm going to go in with my sand a little bit, just to tone down his pecs a little bit and unify everything. Remember, leave those highlights. So that's pretty much my Cyborg. What do you think? Good? All right, guys, so that's Cyborg, and that's some African-American skin tones and also some metal. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Hope this answered a few questions for you. As always, if you have any other questions, please feel free to put them down in the comments below. And thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. If you've subscribed, if you haven't, please do. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thanks a lot, everybody. See you next time. Bye-bye.